Hello, my name is Maxia Mabey. I'm an ASL 2 student at Covina High School. The topic that I will be discussing today is deaf visual art. The big issue in deaf visual art is how it is so often overlooked. The article Devia Investigating Deaf Visual Art by Patty Durr highlights different deaf artists and paintings. It gives a small backstory on how Devia came to be as well as what it stands for as far as in-depth meaning. According to the article Devia Investigating Deaf Visual Art, the term Devia was founded after 9 artists came together to discuss the difference between an art by a deaf person and art about the deaf experience. Devia stands for Deaf View Image Art. The abbreviation itself is an act of resistance by trying to create a totally new term that would reflect the meaning and spirit of ASL rather than in English. Patty Bird then later writes that Devia is about bringing the hearing paradigm of deafness under the deaf artist's gaze. She also includes that Devia artists can be both hearing or deaf as long as the artist's work has the intention to represent the deaf experience. The rest of the article goes on to talk about different works of Devia art as well as their significance. This artwork is called The Emma Salon Prohibited by Betty G. Miller. The artwork challenges the old argument that allowing deaf people to sign would make them dependent and they would use ASL as a crutch. In the article, it explains that Miller graphically communicates that it is the lack of signing that is cruel, enslaving, and ultimately leaves the deaf person broken and disabled. This next piece of work is the untitled multimedia piece by Miller, also exemplifying the impact of autism and oralism on the deaf individual. The article goes on to tell that the metal grid in front of the static eyes indicates that access to visual information is screened and filtered, not freely or easily received. It then says that the metal rod through the jawbone appears to function as a vise for the puppet-like mouth and chin to open and close from. The mask-like face is set inside a mechanical device, almost as if it were locked in. Some of the other works included in the article were works such as Family Dog by Susan Dupour, Mechanical Ear by Chuck Baird, and Best Friend by Chuck Baird. Deaf visual arts affects the deaf community because it is their way of life. Betty G. Miller, the first known deaf artist to exhibit art about the deaf community, is quoted when she says that visual art can be a way of life among deaf people in the same way that music is a way of life for the hearing. The general population should care about deaf art because, unlike other cultures, the deaf do not have a specific food, clothing, or music associated with its people, making deaf visual art their way of expressing life through deaf eyes.